Hi guys, this is Sliver here, and this video is meant to be a short guide for the new Inferno Sorcerer that became available after the mid-season patch of Diablo 4 Season 8. Now, the Inferno Sorcerer is a new and exciting top build for sorcerers if you are tired of the old Lightning Spear Sorc. It utilizes a lot of burning damage, and you are able to unleash unlimited infernos in the form of huge fiery serpents on your enemies. So it is definitely a very fun and refreshing build. The core of the build is the combustion key passive, which for some reason, since the patch, considers not only burning damage and damage to burning enemies, but also damage over time, and this way you are able to reach up to 10,000% increased damage from one single key passive if you build your character right with a lot of damage over time affixes. And now let's go through the build briefly. I will link the Maxroll version of the build down in the description, so if I fail to mention some detail, or if you're interested in building this character yourself, then you can do it based on the Maxroll guide. Let's go. In general, I have a pretty suboptimal gear with unoptimal masterworks and even worse greater affixes. Even with this gear, I was able to clear Pit 85 very easily. An important piece that we are wearing is the flicker step, which will reduce our ultimate cooldown by 4 seconds for each enemy we evade through. And of course our evade is going to be teleport, so we're going to teleport all around the screen and reduce our ultimate cooldown this way. We are using the inner calm aspect on our amulet. Our amulet sucks, by the way. Ideally it would have ranks to glass cannon and endless spire on it. And the inner calm aspect helps us do more damage when we are standing still, and of course we are standing still because for movement we're using the evade teleport. Another important thing is the combustion key passive. As I've mentioned before, this makes the build viable, and it doesn't only scale with burning damage and damage to burning targets, but also the damage over time. So the more damage over time you have, the more percentage of damage increase you will see in combustion, and it's possible to reach up to 10,000% of increased damage this way. Now we're going to move over to the Paragon boards. In the Paragon boards, we're going to try and maximize the damage to burning enemies and increase burning damage, because once again, these are the stats that scale with combustion very well, and this is what we're trying to optimize our Paragon boards for. So this means that you want to prioritize the Flame Feeder and Torch glyphs on upgrading, because those are going to be the ones that bring the most damage to your character. By the way, on this character I have around level 60 glyphs, and with those low level glyphs I was still able to kind of steamroll Pit level 85. In terms of boss powers, we're going to use Andariel's Flaming Skull for our main boss power. This is the head that circles around you and spews out flames. It requires a little bit of positioning, but it does a lot of burning damage. Regarding the mercenaries, we're going to use Subo as a map hack, and we're going to use Rahir as a reinforcement, but we won't really need Rahir because it's really difficult to die with this build. If you have capped resistances and armor, then you will barely die during the pits. For our skills, we're going to use the Teleport enchantment and Incinerate enchantment. The second one is required for an auto cast of Incinerate without us having to channel it, and this will increase our damage in conjunction with the conflagration aspect that we have on our two-handed staff. We have our main damage dealer, the Inferno, which we want to have as much reduced cooldown as possible of, and the other skills are just there to support, either by increasing the burning damage that we do or by reducing the cooldown of our evade or our ultimate. And now for the gameplay. We want to use as many Infernos as possible because this is where the majority of our damage comes from. In order to reduce the cooldown of Inferno, we're using a lot of cooldown reduction on our gear, and still after that, the cooldown of Inferno should be around 8 to 9 seconds. And the remaining cooldown is reduced by the Flicker Step boots that we have equipped. The Flicker Step lets us reduce our cooldowns by 4 seconds for each enemy that we evade through, and of course our evade is replaced with the teleport enchantment, so we're teleporting through enemies as fast as possible. This way we are reducing the cooldown of Inferno a lot and basically spamming Inferno. But in order to spam Inferno, we need to be able to spam evade as well, and the way we're reducing the evade cooldown as much as possible is once again Flicker Step. The implicit affix of Flicker Step says that it reduces the cooldown of evade for each attack, and we have an attack which is Firewall. So you should have at least one Firewall damaging enemies down on the floor, and this way it will reduce the cooldown of evade, and once we can evade through enemies and reduce the cooldown of Inferno. So this is the mechanism we use to have an unlimited amount of evades and Infernos as well. Another important thing is that our other skills only support the build. So for example, Familiar gives us tons of additional damage. The Ice Armor gives us Unstoppable through one of our aspects, and the Flame Shield will give us Invulnerability for a little bit of time. We have the Fireball to finish off enemies with low health. And we are spamming these last 4 spells as much as we can because they have such a short cooldown with this build. In terms of the boss fight, I would say that this build is average in terms of all the different sorcerer builds against bosses. Try to do the same rotation as I just explained for the boss. Try to keep the boss in the Ondaria's boss power and try to evade through the boss each time because that will reduce your ultimate all the time. And that's it. I hope this build will bring success to you and you'll be able to do very high pits with this. And if you do, then feel free to let me know in the comments, and see you guys next time. Thanks.